I thought Wonka was a fine movie. It was okay, but I think it could have been so much better. I think it missed a lot of the marks that it was trying to reach. And so today, in response to my friend Jacob making his Wonka review, I have created my own for you. We're going to talk about my critiques of the movie, the things that I felt the movie was missing. And then I'm going to propose my solution, a general 3-act construction of how I wish the Wonka movie would have gone. So let's talk about Wonka. My first issue with the movie is I think we were missing just a crucial part of Wonka's journey. He is a magical chocolatier who's capable of doing all these great things. We never see how he comes about those. He arrives in the movie with these magical items, the eggs that make you fly, this lightning in a bottle quite literally. And there's something fun about how did he achieve those. I wanted to see more of his journey to getting some of those things. I don't need, a super scientific synthesization of how he did it, but just like a moment where he held out a bottle and a bunch of lightning flew into it or something. I would love to have seen Wonka in harvesting things do something a little more interesting than milk a giraffe. My second biggest issue with this movie is it gives away the central conceit of the movie from the start. When you make Wonka good at chocolate, the cartel says his chocolate is better than anyone else's, it loses a big piece of conflict in the movie. Wonka being great at chocolate from the jump doesn't seem true to his character based on the other Chocolate Factory movies. Willy Wonka is a character who has side effects to his chocolate, and yet the only time that the side effects in his chocolate occur that aren't good are when the cartel hijacks him. But in this movie, he doesn't have any of those issues. When something goes wrong, like the Yeti hair, it's because someone else put it in there. It's not because he doesn't know how to manage it. And that lack of conflict for him, I just think was a missed story moment to see this character. Furthermore, the downfall of the chocolate cartel is not that their chocolate is better or worse. It's a business ledger. It's something somewhat external to this conflict of chocolate in the movie. And it was kind of underwhelming because I wanted to see Wonka win because his chocolate is better in the end. And it took away, I think, one of the big successes that this character could have had in overcoming the antagonists of the movie. My third issue with this movie is interpersonal relationships. This whole movie kind of comes down to a few main themes, and one of them is that chocolate should be shared with the right people. I didn't buy that the friends Wonka made at the movie were the right people. Wonka's relationships with his friends seem mostly on business levels. There's never a humanizing moment where he's really connecting and understanding why these people are passionate about their career paths and what they want to do. And when I don't really understand these characters, it makes me hard to believe that they're meaningful. One of the examples I think of is the comedian. All he's really good for in the movie is the underwater bit, but there's no growth for that character, or I think a real touch point. I have a similar issue with the businessman. There's a business side to him, but we never see him grow a heart or anything. So at the end of the movie, when Wonka's breaking off the chocolate and handing it to people, I just wasn't sold that he had really found people to share it with like he would have had a relationship with a family member. And then my final issue is the central message in this movie. The biggest one that mattered to me was this idea that we should all be a little more childlike. We all should be a little more like Willy Wonka. I think the draw to a character like Wonka is that childlike nature in an adult that people want. I think if the movie's trying to say you need to have more childlike wonderment in this world, you can't just say you need this, good luck. I'd like to see people learn that, to walk out of the movie with something to actually think about and maybe act on. So those are my big critiques. I think that the movie had a lot of really interesting ideas that not a lot of movies right now are saying. And I guess I was hoping for a movie that would be much more stronger with that message and a little more concrete into how to do that. So let's get into how I would rewrite the movie. Act 1. We're going to do an opening scene where Wonka travels to some island or someplace to go get an ingredient. And we'll do the hover eggs, because I think that's a really fun idea. He comes to this situation with curiosity and excitement, and he's a little out of his depth, but he's enjoying it. He's smiling, he's laughing. Everything that goes wrong is a bit of the adventure for him. He gets the eggs, and he tries one, and he starts to float around. He freaks out for a bit of a moment, and is, trying to grab onto branches, something to keep him to the ground. And he does hold on, and eventually sinks back to the ground. And then he laughs about it. It's fun to him. Wow, what a crazy thing. I'm totally fine. That was really fun. I want to do that again. I want other people to be able to share this moment. The incident does not shake him, it encourages him. And it draws a very clear distinction to how Willie reacts to situations as to rather most other people. We then do Willie coming to the city. He goes to the town square. He gives his pitch on the chocolate. But this time, he doesn't have this perfectly presented pitch prepared. His is much more clunky. It just doesn't really connect with people. And as he's starting to lose the crowd, he's like, wait, this thing can make you fly. And most people are like, that's not true. That's not possible. There's one person who has that little bit of belief and it's like, well, I'll give it a try. Like, there's no way this could be true. And they do, and it starts to flip. And then this time with one of my critiques, the chocolatiers show up, they try it, and it's not good chocolate. It's just a gimmick. And so people are interested in the product, not because it tastes good, but just they want the ingredient. They want the hover egg. And Wonka's like, no, I'm not going to give you that. I wanted to bring you chocolate. This is so important to me. And they're like, well, we don't want your chocolate. We don't want you. We just want this magical stuff. And he refuses to and leaves. And by the end of Act 1, Wonka has eventually met up with this group of people. I definitely want to keep most of the cast, the comedian, the business person. I'd also like to add a chef, someone that could teach Wonka about cooking, someone that's a little more tangible in his growth process. And so Wonka sees all this potential in all these different people with all these different skills. He wants them all to work together, but they refuse because they only see how other people have failed. They don't have the pure imagination to see the actual potential that these people hold. But Wonka sees it and is hopeful. Now we're in Act 2. In the start of Act 2, Wonka's going to kind of play a trick on one of them. We can do the businessman. Wonka gives some advice to the businessman, and the businessman is like, oh, that's a great idea. I love that. And then Wonka reveals that it wasn't his idea, it was the comedian's, and that maybe if they were willing to listen to each other for a moment, they'd actually have something to learn. Wonka can teach the businessman that, life is more than money, it's about experiences. There's plenty of things for each of these characters he can give them the motivation to do, and reveal that each of them held a bit of the answer if they were just willing to be a little curious and ask. In return, all these people help Wonka get better. They teach him a little bit how to run a business. They teach him to be a better communicator, to give him confidence, to be able to talk to the people. These are the people that are going to help develop Wonka into the Wonka we know, to take that raw potential that we see him from the start and push it into this showman that we now know. And in between these moments of where they're actually teaching each other, how to do their job, there can be more interpersonal moments about why they even chose to do these things. And in these interpersonal moments, they can share experiences about a parent, a teacher, some kind of authority figure who inspired them to be something, who didn't put out their light. And in those moments, these people can talk about that these experiences are what they draw on and what have inspired them and never let them actually quit. And Wonka can then encourage them to let them not only quit on themselves, but encourage them to use those same experiences to help others not quit on each other. This moment takes it from being a business relationship to a genuine family where these people care about not just what they can get out of the other person, but that the other person succeeds on their own and that they are more than just acquaintances. We see Wonka continue to develop his cooking with the chef, but his chocolate is still missing something. It's not quite like his mom's chocolate. The group, inspired by all this success, says, this is great, we all can go do what we want, let's go out and do it. And as they go out and are trying to do these things, they're failing. Because laced within this act, we're going to see the chocolate cartel not only now try to sandbag Wonka's career, anyone who is helping him, because all they want are his ingredients, and they're going to ruin him and dampen his light to make sure that he gives it up to them. And the reason that we see the cartel seeing is because they keep presenting themselves as the knowledgeable ones, that they know chocolate, and no one else could ever challenge those ideas. And we see all of the characters fail and come back together and feel so defeated by this cartel, which pushes us into Act 3. In Act 3, Wonka realizes that all his friends would be better working together. The group conspires this huge event that will display all of their skills, their cooking, their chocolate, their entertainment, their coordination of it. Any part that goes into making an event, they all have a piece of the puzzle and are going to put on this huge event in the city. Chocolate Cartel be damned. And in this moment, they realize what makes things better is them working together. That what they enjoyed was not just doing what they like, but doing it with people that they like. And this is what inspires Wonka for his final ingredient, a drop of family. So they go to the town, they put on this huge event, the cartel tries to shut it down, and Wonka's handing out the chocolate, and it is amazing. But the cartel says, but this isn't actually chocolate. The town now seeing the actual potential of this chocolate to be more than an ingredient, but a full-on experience amongst the town with each other, really bonding over the experience of eating the chocolate and the effects of it. The town realizes that chocolate isn't just a delicacy that you eat and it's over. It's an experience with people. And they get mad at the chocolate cartel for trying to stamp out the light of this childlike person in Wonka. And we see the chocolate cartel lose because they lack this imagination. And at this point, the police can even turn on the cartel and say, no, I can't do this anymore. Look at how happy these people are. Why are you trying to make people unhappy? The town should fully turn on them and say, we're not going to buy your chocolate. We're not going to let you tell us what to think about these things. We've tried it for ourselves. We know what we prefer. And you see the chocolate cartels have to close down their shops because people aren't buying that chocolate. In this, final moment, Wonka can give a big speech about family. Wonka can talk about his chocolate and all the ingredients and this drop of family that brings people together. And Noodle or someone else can say, well, I never saw you make the drop of family. And he can say, it's not something you put into the chocolate. It's something that the consumer puts into the chocolate. Wonka says that you can't make family. It has to happen organically. It's not an ingredient that he can physically put into the chocolate. And that the way that you put this family ingredient is by breaking a piece of your chocolate and sharing it with someone else. Roll credits. I think the idea behind this movie is great. I think the themes and messages of the movie are great. And I think it was fun, it was colorful, but I think this movie is lacking a complete journey. It felt like we only got a part of his story, but lacked the ability to tell any more of it. And it left me walking out of these movies with ideas and thoughts of how to address them, but felt like the movie was making me do more of the work when I wish the movie had connected some of those dots a little cleaner. The version of the movie that is out is still encouraging people to pursue their imagination, to be kind to others, and to share, because it's a really great central message that I think is what makes this movie so endearing to so many people. And that's my thoughts about Wonka.